Eric Balzini here with 9 to 5 Sports. Going to be getting into the Charles Schwab Challenge here. Going to be going over the first round leader / showdown picks. Those two go hand in hand. I kind of touched on that a little bit last week. We're going to be talking about ownership leverage, okay? And then I'm going to give you guys the bad chalk build. That is something that I just find fun to do. It's a fun process. And right now, it's cashed 1 out of 5 weeks. It cashed last week. But that's kind of crazy. When I started doing that 5 weeks ago, I would have not thought that would be the case. I would have thought it'd be maybe 3 out of 5 weeks it cashed or 2 out of 5 weeks. 1 out of 5 weeks is kind of crazy. And it didn't cash the first 4 weeks. And that is with chasing strong ownership. I mean, that is with chasing like 90% ownership in a lineup, like really just the chalk. So kind of interesting there. It kind of tells you how good the ownership leverage tool has been. And then we're going to be looking at some round 1 3-ball bets. And then at the end of the video, we're going to give you guys the outright bets as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this video. We'll get straight into it with the first round leader and showdown picks here for you guys. All right, so I do have it pulled up on DraftKings. We're going to switch over into the betting side. So I'm going to have to just minimize this a little bit for you guys so you can see it. So the one crazy thing I want to point out is that something like Mito Pereira, ranking out really well, first round leader rank. And really the tough part about this week is figuring out what these golfers are going to do, how they're going to respond from last week. Because as we can see, Mito's number 1, JT is number 2. That is crazy, and that's difficult to deal with. And then with that, you got someone like Kyle Morikawa, hasn't really been playing all too well. 2 like 50th place finishes in a row. That's not that good. Scotty Scheffler coming off of a miscut. He's probably the one I would trust the most. But it's difficult there. And then keep going down. You got Daniel Berger. He's kind of sucked lately. You got Will Zalatoris, who same issues with Mito and JT. Then you look at Sanjay Im. Sanjay Im is coming in off that COVID stuff. He hasn't made a start in 2 weeks. How much practice did he get? Is he going to be rusty? Is he going to have jet lag? All that stuff is coming into play here this week. So it's kind of weird. Like, I kind of like the longer shot odds with some of these guys, and that might be something that you choose to do. I do want to point out that it really doesn't seem like there is going to be a weather advantage this week like there was in the previous week, okay? So, that kind of changes the dynamic of the showdown slate and the first round leader betting. Sure, I always like to skew towards the morning tee times, and you can kind of do that as well. Like, a lot of these golfers do have morning tee times. Brian Harmon's a name that sticks out to me. I like him as a bet if you're trying to trace that early tee times, the AM tee times. I don't mind that. You could go with like Billy Horschel, Jason Kokrak, and I do think Billy Horschel is going to be a strong first-round leader bet. Jason Kokrak, I do like as well. But what I really like are going to be some of these longer shot bets like Aaron Rai. Aaron Rai is 130 to 1. We can see that Aaron Rai is rated 20th most likely to win or to have the first-round lead. That is pretty good odds there, okay? Obviously, we don't expect him to have the first-round lead, but if someone, one, we can use in showdown, just given his, his odds at 130 to 1 to have the first-round lead, we could also use them in showdown. And that's kind of what I like. That's what I like about this tool is that, maybe it doesn't give us the first round leader every week, close to it, but it's going to lead us in the right direction, especially for showdown. And this tool goes hand in hand. That's how you can use this tool. So like something like Patton Kizzire, I like as well, kind of long shot wise as well, 90 to 1. Okay. And the biggest issue with first round leader bets is the dead heat reduction. It's kind of bound to happen more times than not. But these are just some of the strong bets you can make. It's kind of up to you guys what you want to do this week. I don't really see a weather advantage, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. Really opens up the whole player pool, especially makes it more difficult when you got Mito, JT, Will Zalatoris, all names that are kind of popping up there as well. Chris Kerr, someone you could roll with if you want. Victor Hovland, I don't mind. Davis Reilly, I do have a first-round leader bet on as well. These are all names you could easily fit into a showdown build as well. Kind of what I did, though, is I kind of did like going more of a balanced approach for the showdown because there is some soft pricing. So you could easily fit Billy Horschel, Jason Kokrak. You could fit Jordan in there if you want to, but Davis Reilly, Brian Harmon. Obviously, the higher you go up on the first round later, the more likely they are to play well in first round. But that was kind of my approach for showdown. So it should be pretty easy. So yeah, long shot bets, Aaron Rai, Patton Kizzire, I like them a lot. But now we're going to get into the ownership leverage, guys. I haven't looked at this yet. I'm kind of excited to see what it gives us here. Just to see if anyone's like standing out as a bad play. If I can zoom it in a little bit more. Nice. Okay. So pulling it up here, the one thing I'm seeing just right off the bat is that no one is really over-owned here. We can see that just based off of no red over here just yet, okay? So that's going to be a good thing, I think, as a whole, is that right now we don't have anyone over-owned. Yeah, sure, Jordan and Hovland are starting to get up there, but they're still not really too over-owned. Just kind of crazy, though, the week that we have. Like, no one's really over-owned. And this is what sucks, because Jordan and Hovland are going to be two of my most high-owned golfers as well. And the thought process is simple. It's the same thing I just mentioned for first-round leader. It's that, you know, we have reasons to doubt Scotty a little bit. We have a reason. Scotty, poor course history, miscut last week. We have a reason to doubt him. Now, I don't mind him for, if you want to place a first-round leader bet on Scotty, makes a lot of sense, has that AMT time. You know, he could bounce back. I kind of expect him to. Main slate-wise, though, you could fade him, especially at that price point. JT, how is he going to respond after that victory? I thought he was going to withdraw. You know, that's kind of surprising there. Collin Morikawa, what is he going to do? I expect him to bounce back, but it does make sense to just go with the exact same play as Collin Morikawa and just go with Victor Hovland. Like, that makes more sense. Will Zalatoris you could roll with. Actually, decent ownership leverage there on Willie Z. Okay, I really don't mind that. And the thing with Willie Z is, like, the question with all these guys that played last week and played well last week that were, you know, in the championship winning stretch, I guess. How are they mentally going to respond? And we really don't know that. That's not something we can really measure too much. So if you wanted to roll with Willie Z a little bit, you could. Like, you could roll with JT, given the fact that, I mean, these two are both two of the most under-owned players, and we'll get into that real quick for you guys. So Bryson's obviously out, but we can see JT. People don't want to play him because of last week. Will Zalatoris, people don't want to play him because of last week. Mito PR, people don't want to play him because of last week. And logically, that makes sense, but we really can't measure that. So if you did want to get some ownership on some of those guys, you could. Billy Horschel still under-owned. Daniel Berger under-owned. We get why Daniel Berger's under-owned. We get why Collin Morikawa is a little bit under-owned. Jason Kokrak a little bit under-owned, 12%. You know, it's not that crazy. Like, the ownership is spread out correctly this week, which is nice. But it also kind of sucks for this tool a little bit. But you know, it is the small things that add up. I've been measuring over the last 5 weeks now, kind of the accuracy between salary rank, 9-to-5 model, stat rank, betting odds, ownership percentage, like chalk in the industry, and then the ownership leverage tool. What's been crazy is that the ownership leverage rank has been the best in terms of predictability. And then the chalk, or the ownership of the industry, has been the worst. And then the other ones were all pretty close together. But that was shocking to me. I did not think, and it does make sense for, I guess, the ownership to be the worst in the industry, because obviously with ownership, the main goal is to find value. You're not exactly worried about the upside of a finish, I guess, with a golfer. But that was shocking to me. So, you know, the small details here that we could possibly gain an edge with do add up, but they probably won't add up as much this week because everyone seems to be properly owned. Like Cameron Tringale, to me personally, I really like Cameron Tringale as a play. Let's just go down to that price point, actually, so I can kind of spell it out for you guys. So someone like Cameron Tringale, there's not a big difference between him, and let's just sort by projected ownership. Let's bring this down a little bit more. So there's not really a big difference between him and, let's say, Brian Harmon, Tom Hoge, Gary Woodland, Justin Rose, Maverick McNeely, Chris Kirk. Like, he's pretty much the exact same play. And if we're talking about, like, the prototypical player that would play well on a course like this, a course in which accuracy matters, pretty much playing boring golf, accuracy off the tee, hitting the greens and not making many mistakes, Cameron Tringale is probably one of those golfers that pops into your mind. So the fact that he is, a third of the ownership of Chris Kirk, that's kind of crazy to me. Obviously, Chris Kirk ranks out better. Harold Varner ranks out better. Brian Harmon ranks out better. Tom Hoge doesn't. That one's kind of interesting to me. Gary Woodland, I get the risk reward with him. Justin Rose, big name, I get that. But, you know, kind of a little bit of a leverage there. And then kind of same thing goes with CT Pan, decent play, 26 in ownership leverage. But that's the theme this week, is that no one is really a under-owned too much. Okay, and that is what makes it hard. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to show you guys the bad chalk, and we'll see if there is any bad chalk. Okay. So I like Sabatini. I get why he's, getting some talk. Here's the problem is that without there being like too much overowned players, I have to go down to like 5% ownership. So let's just bump this up a little bit more. 7. Let's get to 7. Okay, there we go. So now we eliminated a lot of the bad chalk, but those are going to be values. Those aren't going to really rank out well as a whole. Anyways, those are kind of just you hope and pray plays at that pricing tier, and everyone kind of knows that. So someone like Tom Hoagie, wait, let's see. I want to see Nick Taylor because Nick Taylor was popping up too much. Yeah, this is strange, guys. Nick Taylor, very interesting. 7% is not like crazy, but it's just weird. 6.3, I kind of get it. He gives you a decent chance to get a made cut. And at 6.3, yeah, probably is a little bit underpriced, but kind of weird there. At this ownership level, he would be the worst on leverage rank play to make the cut this year. So kind of just something to monitor. Tom Hoagie, like I said, a little bit overowned. Chris Kirk's starting to get a little bit overowned. 7.9, just a little bit too much. Obviously, I do like him as a play. Maverick McNeely, I fully expect to make the cut. Webb Simpson been a little bit inconsistent. We can kind of see, yeah, some of these guys are starting to get into the you have to think about it. If you're on them, you have to think about them as a play. But as we can see, nothing too crazily overowned, okay? That's a good thing. Good job. No bad chalk this week. I'm proud. Honestly, nothing frustrates me more than really the last 3 months at PGA DFS when we've had a lot of bad chalk for, I don't really know why. It was weird. Just strange stuff. And so, like, honestly, like 2 years ago and before that, there was a lot of just strange bad chalk, and I really didn't get why. Last year, we saw it kind of even out. That was really nice to see. And I think just due to a lot more, I don't know, fluff or more new content creators coming in here that don't exactly know what they're doing, are starting to figure it out here. I don't want to say don't know what they're doing, but don't fully get it. I don't know. I don't want to talk down anyone. It's just, there's been some strange talk, and I haven't really been able to pinpoint the reason down as to why. It does seem like a lot of the golfers that might be good outright bets, in like a one-off situation, have been getting too much chalk. So maybe people just haven't been vocalizing like, hey, this is outright bet only. Like, too risky to go 20% ownership in GPPs when you can go with this safe play that has just as much upside. Maybe not winning upside, but same top 5 upside. That's been a strange trend. Maybe it's a lot due to there's been a lot more Monday coverage and Sunday coverage as well. It's just been strange. Just strange there. But I want to get into, just real quick, we're going to get into the outright bets, and then we'll be getting out of here. Okay, so I do want to point out real quick, I said this at the end of last video, the round 1 3-ball bets, which to me have been my bread and butter, okay? You don't really have to cash too much of them to have a strong week, and they are typically easier to cash in. I've been doing these for 4 weeks with like an emphasis on them for 4 weeks, just highlighting the top bets, and it's been a pusher profitable week each week, and last week was very stellar. So just looking at it, I highlighted the top 6 that I see right now. Davis Reilly, 44% chance to win his group. Fleetwood, 44% chance to win his group. JJ Spawn, 43% chance. Peter Malnati, 42. Maverick McNeely, 42. And then Harold Varner, 42. Those are all pretty high. Kind of surprised me. Typically, it's not that high. Last week it was, but the previous few weeks has not been that high. I think it's post-major. There's not as many good players in here in some of those spots, and that's probably why. One player in that group probably sucks, which means, the good golfer in that group is getting elevated a little bit too much. But that's just something where you can take advantage of that because you don't have to hit all of them to have a profitable week. You can hit 4 out of 6. You can hit 3 out of 6, really. Just something I like. And then we're going to get into the outright bets here, guys. So real quick, I don't really think it's a hot take to like Jordan Spieth this week. I think everyone knows that Jordan Spieth is going to be a quality play. 3 straight top 10s at this tournament. Really strong there. Been playing well. Obviously, last week, 34th place finish. People expect a little bit more out of him. It's still not a terrible finish. Second and first the weeks before that. Didn't miss a cut at the Masters, but before that was playing good enough golf. Jordan Spieth does make a lot of sense. When you look at golfers that have like strong course history in Texas, Jordan Spieth, both long-term and short-term, stands out. He is a stud in Texas. I really like him as an outright bet. I guess the only worry would be that recent win. It's tough to win on the PGA Tour. I think Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, and all those failed outright bets from last week, they've been failed outright bets in 2022. Mito, Fitz, Cameron Young, the list goes on. It's just hard to win on the PGA Tour. So the fact that Jordan Spieth has already done that once, it gives me caution about him winning again. But still, I do like him. 12-1, not the best odds, but good enough. Victor Hovland, I do like as well. It's tough, though, because like I don't really see a reason to love him more than I do some of the other names as much so. Like, we could make a strong argument for Burns, Homa, Answer. Sungjae Im is someone that could easily win. Pretty strong staff at Sungjae Im is. Seems like he's due for a win. Has 5 top 10s. Like, you could easily see that happening for Sungjae. And I do like Victor Hovland the most out of that range, but it is pretty close. Like, you could make a strong argument for that. So one golfer that I've been scratching my head about is Tommy Fleetwood at 40-1. So the winning trends, which I love winning trends, guys. You ever see, I guess, the winning trends that pretty much say, hey, a golfer with good course history is more likely to win. Who knew? Or a golfer with a strong recent form is more likely to win. It's like, oh my God, that is crazy. Who would have thought? You know, it's just, I always love those. I get a kick out of it. But it is fun to see. I get why people put that out there, and it's just fun to see. And so take this with a grain of salt, but the winning trends have been that a player has played this course before and has played it well in the year previously. Tommy Fleetwood has not played this course over the last 4 years, and I would have to look back further to see if he's played it at all, but you know, he doesn't really check the box of that winning trend. But still been playing great. I think he's a strong top 20 bet if you want to just roll with that. Same thing with Jordan Spieth. I think he's a strong top 10 bet. You could roll with that if you want to instead of placing an outright bet on them. But he's still pretty strong there as well. So going a little bit lower, Billy Horschel, just a standout play. Obviously, ranks out top 10 in the 9 to 5 model. Just playing some of the best golf on the PGA Tour right now. We can see he's had those upside finishes. Has had those weeks where he could have won. They don't include the Zurich Classic where he had a top 3 finish. Could easily include that as well. Really been playing great golf. Tough to avoid Billy Horschel just across the board this week. 35-1. That's really strong odds for someone that's really coming in, checking all the boxes. 3 straight make cuts at this tournament. Really strong play for you. After that, Brian Harmon sticks out to me. I love his odds. Brian Harmon at 65-1 was really interesting to me because he ranks out as a strong play. You know, ranks out top 20 in the 9 to 5 mile. But the thing is, he's kind of checking all the boxes this week. Strong staff fit. 3 straight make cuts in a row. He's been showing some upside this season as well. We can see a T10 at the Wells Fargo, T5 at the Valspar Championship. There's been a bunch of weeks where, you know, he's been in the mix, okay? So it wouldn't shock me if he finally just comes through. This is pretty much a perfect course for him, so I don't mind him. Then HV3, man. HV3, it seems weird to trust him, but 41, I do like those odds. He's been playing solid golf, kind of same thing as Brian Harmon. Good course history. 41, I just like those odds. And then to wrap it up, Davis, Reilly, and Troy Merritt, I do like as well. Troy Merritt, when I was looking at the Jordan Spieth stat for Texas starts, I trimmed it down a little bit. And what I did was I looked at golfers who had at least 4 starts in Texas, who had the best average finish. Troy Merritt was number 1. Kind of interesting to me there. I was over a 2-year sample. He had 5 starts. And then Davis Reilly. Davis Reilly has just been playing some strong golf. 50-1, I do like. And the one thing about my betting card is, you guys know, I like to typically trim it down to 5% of the player pool, or 5% of, the golfers that are in the field. This week, I think it was 6%. So I apologize for that, but I'm really strong on the year so far. So far, we've narrowed down the outright bets to 4.6% of the field and have hit 9 outright bets. So, you know, I do feel like we're due for a win this week. Had that 3-week stretch in there where we hit an outright bet. And now we're in a 3-week stretch where we haven't hit an outright bet. So it does seem like it's going to come back our way this week. So hopefully it does. That'll be fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. If you guys want to join 9 to 5 Nation, the best value in PGA DFS, your one-stop shop, dude, that's $10 a month. You know, it's the best value out there. Strong tools, point you in the right direction without really misleading you at all. So if you guys want to, you can take advantage of that. But that's all I have for you guys this week. Let's have a good weekend as always. Let's keep cashing.